Yes, Dan.
I'm not sure if this question should maybe be held off for the next question.
Well, ask it and,
Okay. If we recognize that gold historically became a monetary standard because of its capacity as a commodity
yes.
that was interchangeable, and that we had a gold standard and we went off, so now the question is how to return to a commodity standard. Are the logistical conceptions of gold still, in your opinion, the winner of all commodity potential currencies in a modern economy? Like, would something like oil or gasoline be a better bagging system than
okay?
the system?
That's something that you can't predict. You can't predict what the market will choose. Okay, so you're asking me if I'm a constructivist from the Hayekian point of view. What I do, I am a partial constructivist in the following sense. I think we should go back to what we had before the government moved us to a fiat currency. Okay, before there was an intervention that destroyed the commodity standard. Now, if we go back to gold, and it turns out that gold is so scarce in relation to commodities now because of the tremendous growth that it would be inconvenient to carry, for small purchases and so on. Then I think the market would monetize silver, for example, okay, or possibly other commodities. But I think gold and silver. I think gold and silver would tend to win out. Okay, but for example, Larry White has said, well, why not go to a silver standard? Why does it have to be gold? Well, we have to be constructivists in reconstructing the commodity standard, which was destroyed by government intervention. At that point, then we can let things go. If people choose another commodity, that's fine. So someone who is an advocate of the gold standard, gold is simply the commodity that has, over the centuries, emerged from voluntary market actions. So when I say I'm a gold standard advocate, I'm really a market money advocate. If gold needs to be supplemented by some other commodity or displaced by it, and the government has nothing to do with that process, then I'm all in favor of it. Okay. Guido Holzman thinks that silver would eventually replace gold. We'll talk about those types of questions because those are very important. This transition period. Yes.
This 1811 court case, Carr versus Carr.
Right.
I've told people that's what makes the fractional reserve system sort of legal. It might be wrong, but it's legal.
What was the actual decision? Is this a British?
There was a man. It came down to this deposit in the bank.
Right.
Was that same as putting into a gold bank,
right,
and getting something that you put your own
right.
gold in there? I believe the judge said something like, "No, you didn't have your money that you put in there in a bag with your name."
Right.
So it was a loan.
It was a loan. If you had it in earmarked, and if it was put in a what do they call it, a safety deposit box, then they have to give you back. They have to keep it there, and they have to give you back the exact same coins. Okay, but if you have what's called a general deposit warrant, in other words, if you get checking account receipts or banknote receipts for a fungible commodity like gold, they don't have to give you back the exact same property that you deposited. And moreover, in this decision, they went beyond that, I believe, and said that in fact it's not actually a bailment. It's a loan to the banks. Okay.
Which made it
right.
banking on more legal grounds.
Right. It strengthened the legality. By the way, two things I might bring up. One is grain warehouses for a while used to loan out their grain, or at least print up false receipts to grain that farmers had deposited with them. And they would print up these receipts and lend them to speculators who then would speculate on commodity markets, commodity markets with them. And that was ruled to be illegal, even though grain was fungible and the farmers didn't get back the same grain. That was ruled not to be a loan of grain. Okay, that that you would have to have. You could have a fractional reserve grain warehouse, right? As long as they have the grain there when a grain depositor comes in, well, then there's no problem. But they ruled against that. The second interesting anecdote has to do with an armored car company. This was in the 1980s. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal, and I cut it out. I don't have it with me. But it turns out armored car companies, I thought they had to deliver the money immediately, but they have warehouses where they just store the money. And they can store money for, a week or whatever before they deliver it to where it's supposed to go. Well, it turns out that one of these armored car companies was loaning this money out. Okay? And they were charged with fraud. Now, how is that different from a bank loaning the money out? It's a bailment. It's a clear bailment. Okay? Now, then you might argue, following this case, that, well, the bags are marked with the, I don't want to call them depositor, but the bailer's name. So the store that gives the armored car the money, that pays the armored car company to deliver the money, the money is closed up in a bag and so on, so it's clearly not a loan. All right, maybe that argument can be made, but it's extremely close to what banks initially did, right, when they began to loan out their depositors' money. Okay. Yes.
You mentioned like a financial spectrum of the different things that could be included in money supply.
Right.
And Mises, has secondary.
Yes.
To what extent do you buy into that spectrum idea? That there isn't a clear, these ones are in, these are out. You're sort of judging and
Okay, I think that theoretically we can determine what should be in and what should be out, but when we apply the theory to determining what items should be in and out, as Rothbard tried to do, there's going to be a fuzzy line. Okay, there's going to be a gray area. Are net cash reserves of insurance companies, are they in fact part of the money supply or not? I would say no. Rothbard said yes. So you're going to have some gray areas. Certainly, we have anything that is interchangeable at par and on demand and is guaranteed through the FDIC, which is backed up by the Fed, I would say has to be included. Okay, so you have to include savings deposits. You have to include government deposits, for example, and so on. All right. Whether you should include other, because people look, when people put their money in a bank or when they deposit their money, all they care about is that FDIC sign. Everyone trusts that they'll immediately get that money, be able to withdraw that money. Okay. And so I think that you have to look at the institutional features. To what extent do they reflect the theoretical definition of the medium of exchange? Okay.
The other day when you were talking about savings account, you said that they should be included, especially since we have ATMs and it's very easy to get the cash.
Yeah.
So is there something significant like distance to paper or spectrum of liquidity or?
Well, the ATMs just make it more convenient to get it out. But let's say someone has gold or cash and they bury it and they have a vacation house, up in Maine, and they bury it under the floorboards there. It's very, very inconvenient to go get that, but I would say it's still part of the money supply, right? So because some people say, well, you can't really pay with in the old days when we had passbook savings accounts, I guess you still have them. You can't walk into a store and give them the passbook savings account and somehow transfer the credits on that to them. No, but you can go to the bank next door or down the street, okay, and just show them the passbook and withdraw money from the savings account. How's that different from flying up to Maine to get the money that's hidden under floorboards? So I don't think it's necessarily just convenience. But did you mean proximity to your money, or did you mean closeness between the various items?
More proximity to the convenience issue.
Yeah, no, I think that I don't think that the convenience issue comes in because people can you can own two automobiles and one you leave at your vacation house or something. I mean you own it in in any sense, is that sort of less of an automobile to you than one that you have right here? No. You, according to your marginal utility, you have allocated it to a different area of your property. I think the same thing is true with money. You're allocating your money balances in a way that maximizes your utility. Okay. On a gold standard, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems. Okay, because you would have simply gold coins, and you would have fully backed checking account deposits or checking deposits. Right. Okay, any other questions? I think we can stop here. Thank you.